Okay, this is Big Boss Foxhound Woodsball coming to you from Fort Lauderdale, and from my blog page over at outerheavenpaintball.blogspot.com. I'm also repping the guys over at Acid Tactical, so check them out at acidtactical.com. Anyway, today we're doing a gear review, and I will say this is one that I've wanted on my bucket list for quite some time, and as a history freak, for all you guys that know me personally, I love looking at history of covert operations, particularly during Vietnam, because that's pretty much where the guys of SEAL Team 6, Delta Force, the guys that do Tier 1 stuff now, their heritage draws back to Vietnam, as it was a watershed for modern special forces. So, with that being said, this is what's on review for today. This is a Chicom Type 56 chest rig, an amalgamation of wood buttons, little leather straps, a little piece of metal here and there, and made from a tough canvas. This thing has seen combat the world over, from battlefields of Southeast Asia, the Middle East, right into sub-Saharan Africa, and all up and down that continent. Maybe a little here and there in Central and South America, all things considering. Now, this thing was standard issue to the Chinese People's Liberation Army, but for all of us in the West, particularly those that are American, South Korean, Thai troops, Aussies, New Zealanders, we remember seeing stuff like this in Vietnam. This being the standard issue kit for the North Vietnamese Army, the NVA, as well as the National Liberation Front, i.e. the Viet Cong, the guerrillas in South Vietnam watching their guerrilla war against the South Vietnamese government and the U.S. military. However, this piece of kit also has its American usage, but I'll dive on into it later on in this video. But first, a word from our friends and sponsors over at Acid Tactical. Check them out over at acidtactical.com. And remember, when the shit hits the fan and you've got to trust your gear with your life, ask yourself this one question: can your gear survive the acid test? We'll be back right after this.
Over the years, Acid Tactical has provided tactical equipment for all aspects of shooting sports, from paintball, airsoft, right down to our military personnel and law enforcement at a fraction of the cost for a name brand item. Our 550 cord slings are professionally made and built solid. They come in both single and 2-point configurations, and you can take our slings straight to hell and back and it will still keep working. It doesn't matter if you want to stand out or blend in. Our professionally made vinyl stencils are just the thing you need to allow you to create that perfect camo paint job, or mix it up for a custom design of your own making. This is just a small sampling of the gear we have to offer at Acid Tactical. The market is flooded with tactical gear and accessories of all makes and models the world over. However, when the crap hits the fan, ask yourself this one question: can your gear survive the acid test? Wow, this brings back some memories. One of my first paintball games. As you can see, I'm wearing a Alice Web gear setup, but I've also made myself a chest rig. Now, little did I know its historical implications to this. Now, this pictured here is the Chicom Type 56 chest rig. This is developed for the People's Liberation Army of China to go with their licensed version of the Soviet AKM, Type 56. Americans first saw this thing during Vietnam, where the NVA and the Viet Cong were using it, but it didn't take long for it to find its way into the hands of American Special Forces and recon teams. especially those that were operating over the fence, and especially more helpful when 30-round magazines were becoming the standard for the XM177 carbines. But I digress. Today you can find this in the hands of terrorist groups, third world armies, tribal militias, as well as allied special forces and intel units like pictured here. These operators are probably CIA, probably Special Activities Division, i.e. Ground Branch or whatever they call themselves now, but this is still something that is relatively done today and is a testament to this piece of equipment's durability and long-lasting staying power.
Okay, hopefully that little history lesson was informative. Now, time for the meat and potatoes on this bitch. Now, as you can see, this thing is supposed to be a one-size-fits-all type deal, meaning you can adjust it to your body length and type. However, these things, girth-wise, are made for smaller stature motherfuckers. So, that being said, the straps here that you can use to tie around you, that's going to feel more like an apron for a guy of my size to do. So, if you need a good field modification for this thing, find yourself some Fast Tex buckles that are good enough size for this, and you'll be able to fix that problem right then and there and make it more of an easy on and off deal. Size adjustment wise, over here, this is fairly solid with the metal buckle, so you don't have to worry about that one. Second, you untie it from the leather loops up here, and from the friction buckle you can adjust it and you're good to go. Now, pouches. Here's where things get interesting. You've got 4 grenade style pouches. I believe these were built to handle smaller Chinese made hand grenades or Russian RGDB-5 fragmentation grenades. However, you do have that one big pouch here, and I think this one is a similar size. You could put something like a M20, later M61 or M67 fragmentation grenade in there. Just saying, as it wasn't unheard of for North Vietnamese forces to take weapons and equipment off of dead or captured American and South Vietnamese forces. Therefore, it would be a little bit of a norm if the Viet Cong or NVA troops got their hands on some of that stuff, they'd supplement their stuff with it. This is the same thing for U.S. Special Forces, such as well as your long-range recon teams and MACV SOG recon teams and hatchet teams that would use captured chest rigs for their particular operations if they didn't have a CISO made chest rig. For all you guys that are unfamiliar, CISO is the Counterinsurgency Support Office based out of Okinawa, Japan during Vietnam. They're pretty much like a riggers and tailor shop for anything a SOG team needed. However, it is also speculated, and don't hold me to this one, that the CISO shop was also working for the CIA, because any captured equipment that got sent back to Okinawa, those CISO guys would make a version of it. That means NVA issued backpacks, chest rigs, they'd find ways to Americanize them or make them work with American issued kit. Now, I don't have any AK mags or AR mags to use in this video. However, this is a paintball video for my paintball channel and blog, so I'm going to be showing how this thing works for a paintball player. And believe me, I got this bitch for fucking cheap compared to the more modern shit, so do with that what you may. Let's start off with hopper fed. Yeah, I know I do mag fed these days, but a hopper fed is not a bad thing, depending on your play mood, shit like that. Now, each one of these pouches here up front, these are a single mag pouch designed to hold a single 30 round magazine of 7.62 by 39 for your AK-47s, AKMs, but I won't be surprised if these could also hold a single 30 round of 5.45 for your AK-74s. Paintball wise, this thing can take paintball pods. As you can see, I got stuffed in here a 75 or 100 round pod, and even though I can't get the flap closed on here, it's still pretty secure. This thing is not coming out of this pouch for anything. If you want to get it to close right, a good field modification would be a simple piece of shock cord, ironically. Piece of shock cord through the little loop on here and right onto the little bar here, and you're good. So as you can see, this thing will take a 75 or 100 round paintball pod for all you guys that still like running your old school hopper feds. Now, for all you mag fed guys, this is pretty much my domain. Now, you guys know I've talked about improvised gear, but this thing works pretty damn good for that stuff too. As you can see, you can slide in a single 20 round magazine of 68 caliber paintballs, and I can even get this thing in tight enough, get these buttons around here. It's a bit of a tight fit, but as you can see, easily get this thing tied down. Magazine is secure, fully protected, and will not go anywhere. You could actually put a complement of 3 of these right across your chest, and you're good to go. Let me rig this up right quick. Okay, got the second one and number 3. Now, this is going to be a bit of a tighter fit because I've got duct tape around these to hold the paracord mag poles on here, which are definitely a thing that was done, because even though these pouches could each take a 30 round AK mag, a lot of the SOG recon teams, as well as LARPs that got their hands on this stuff, were putting 2 30 round AR mags in here. It would be a tight fit, but they'd use the paracord mag poles to get them out of the mag pouch in a combat situation. So there is that. I'm not going to bother on this one. Now, what can these pouches here be used for? These grenade pouches. Well, one thing, comms gear. You can actually drop in a small radio. In this case, I'm using a Motorola Talkabout 500. As you can see, I can actually have a radio pouch out of one of these grenade pouches and be able to have my comm wire run through the straps of this thing. Therefore, I'm actually able to have a complete self-contained battle rig. If I'm just running this as a pickup game with an air tank hooked to the gun itself, then I'm pretty much set. Other items like these 40mm grenade shells I got from S Thunder, these can fit. You can fit one 40mm shell in here, but other than that, it is something that I would not really want to risk if this thing is under pressure. I won't risk anything bigger than that one. Larger shells like this one here, even though it is a 40 mil, it would not fit in any one of these pouches unless I do some very serious modifications to it, or and just do a cut job, put pouches on here. Other than that, this particular size is a no-go. So give me 1 second and let me set this up for you guys. Let me show you what this thing looks like. We'll be right back. And we're back. Now, let me get rid of this real quick. Okay. And please, guys, don't mind the more modern looking rifle here. Now, as you can see, everything I'm wearing right now is pretty much a good concept, even though it's not historically accurate. This is pretty much one of the gear type configuration setups that you would see a SOG recon team or somebody on a long range reconnaissance team not affiliated with special forces, the LRP units. Something that they would be wearing, minus the pistol on the drop leg. But the web gear and the chest rig, especially if you were the guy that was carrying an enemy AK as your primary weapon, you'd have your ammo up here and you'd be using the magazine pouches for support gear. Either you'd be carrying an M16 on your back as well if you were wanting to do something like that, or if I was humping the M79 grenade launcher or another handheld model, I'd easily have 40mm grenades in a magazine pouch like this one here. But as far as paintball stuff goes, as you can see, drop this mag and easily go in here. Now keep in mind, not really practiced at this, just got it, but grab the mag pull, grab the mag out, get that in, I'm back up. These things are a little slow as well as a little tight to deal with right now. I just got this today, but this is pretty much everything that you can do when you're doing a paintball gear setup. Now, these things will get looser with time, or I'll just modify them. I haven't figured out which one I want to do yet, but the reload time is going to be slower on these, especially because these pouches weren't made for speed. These things were made to be easy to use, easy to get to, and, well, not really easy to get to. It's designed to protect your magazines. They were designed to be a minimalistic chest rig that can be made in bulk and shipped out the world over. This is something that has equipped third world armies for decades, equipped terrorist groups, as well as your average insurgent. But for all of us paintball players, as you can see, you can use these for mag fed. These magazines are T68 magazines, so if you got a Tippmann TMC, that magazine will fit in here. Either the 50 caliber version or the standard 68 caliber will fit in here. Magpul mag should fit in here. Now keep in mind, this is a little bit of trial and error on your part for things, but generally speaking, this thing will work. Now as you can see, it works for mag fed, it will work for hopper fed, and as a paintball player, for this being a Vietnam inspired paintball rig, I've got my magazines up front, but I'm using mag pouches for my support gear too, such as having a pod on you. You could use this to refill your magazines, and that way it keeps you in the fight a lot more. I could have other kit in the butt pack. And I'm running canteens because, hey, it completes the look. It's historically accurate. They didn't have camelbacks during Vietnam, though they experimented with a lot of shit. Now, if you want a more comprehensive article, check this out over at outerheavenpaintball.blogspot.com. I will put up a link in the description to this video. And don't forget to check out Outer Heaven Paintball on Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter, as well as our Teespring shop. The same goes to my friends over at Acid Tactical. You can check them out on eBay, Amazon, Etsy. You could check out their Teespring shop as well. Links will be in the description of this video. And don't forget to check out the main shop over at acidtactical.com. And remember, when the shit hits the fan and you've got to trust your gear with your life, ask yourself this one question. Can your gear survive the acid test? Well, anyway, this is Big Boss, and I'm out of here.